Welcome, everyone, to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for September 10th, 2025. We are coming close to the end of the residency at the 2300 Arena. We have AEW All Out coming soon in just under 2 weeks. Shout out to everybody for watching this, whether it's live or on demand. I very much appreciate your viewership and support. Now, let's get into the Dynamite recap. Bryan Danielson was on commentary. He is now a permanent member of the commentary team. I'm fine with that. I like Bryan Danielson on commentary. I think that is a little bit of an improvement over what they've had. I would prefer two-man teams. Not the biggest fan of three people. I don't think it's necessary. Very few exceptions in wrestling history. I found three-man teams to be fine, but unless each person has a different role that's distinctive, you don't need three people. But I like Danielson out there. By the way, speaking of commentary, Excalibur accidentally called the Hurt Syndicate the Hurt Business. Whoops. We had our first match of the evening, which was the world champion Hangman Adam Page ahead of his world title match at All Out versus Josh Alexander. Yes, Josh Alexander, who is basically Don Callis' family's Brian Cage, with Brian Cage being injured. Crowd was chanting F Don Callis. It was a long match, competitive match. Josh Alexander brought the fight to Hangman Page. He gave him a brain buster on the apron. Page did manage to fight back, but Alexander rolled away from a buckshot lariat attempt. And then after the commercial break, Alexander got the upper hand. He gave Page a German suplex on the apron. He tried one on the floor, but Page avoided it. Both men managed to beat the 10 count. There's a shocker. How did they beat the 10 count? Shocking, I tell you. They traded shots back and forth, and then Alexander put on the ankle lock, just like Kurt Angle would back in the day. And then Alexander, he tried a pile driver on the apron, but it did not work. And Page was able to hit the dead eye instead. And then Page did his moonsault. He got Alexander back in the ring, I should say. Definitely not in the referee. He got him back in the ring. And then Don Callis distracted the referee. And while he was doing this, the Don Callis family, two of the guys, I think it was Archer and Rocky Romero, they tried to interfere. It did not work out for them. Page overcame the odds, and he picked up the win with the buckshot lariat on Josh Alexander. Shocked, I tell you. Adam Page beat Josh Alexander. I cannot believe it. Match was fine, very predictable, overly long, but hey, Josh Alexander held his own. He put up the good fight against Hangman Adam Page. Then after the match, Page cut a promo. He said he's there to wrestle. You don't say. Then we had Kyle Fletcher, cool cat Kyle Fletcher coming out there. And he said the Don Callis family runs AEW. He wanted a championship match. Page told him if he wants it to get in the ring. And that's what Fletcher did. Page said that Fletcher is a man full of potential, but he doesn't know how to put on socks. The fans were making fun of Fletcher because Fletcher had on his nice outfit, but he was not wearing socks to go with his attire. And the fans called him out on it, and Page called him out on it. And Fletcher got serious. He said he's heard his entire life that he's not ready. Page said that Fletcher was not ready, and Fletcher said he will decide when it's his time. And he said his time is now. He's in his prime. And then Page said he will give Fletcher a championship match at All Out, but he wants Fletcher to do it himself and earn it and leave the Don Callis family behind. Fletcher responded by saying he's leaving with the AEW title at All Out. So there you have it. Kyle Fletcher challenging Adam Page for the championship at All Out. Is it too soon for Kyle Fletcher? Well, we will be doing our predictions next week for AEW All Out, so stay tuned for my thoughts on that. Solid segment here to set up the match. I know they teased it on Collision. It was pretty much a foregone conclusion, and they just sealed the deal here. Match is official for the pay-per-view. Biggest match of Kyle Fletcher's career. He gets the world title match against Adam Page. MJF, who for whatever reason is not on Dynamite these last few weeks, he did appear on Collision very randomly after his wedding, and they showed footage of him from after Collision. He attacked Mark Briscoe, and he said he cannot go on his honeymoon until Mark Briscoe is dead. Now he's just saying this figuratively, not literally. And he said that whatever stipulation Mark Briscoe wants, his answer is, and I quote, "I do," just like his wedding vows. No MJF on the show, but they did confirm that MJF will be on Collision again. Very interesting that they're putting him on Collision. Maybe they're finally nervous about the numbers and they want to get those Collision viewers up. I mean, that's really the only card they can play at this point. Get MJF on Collision and maybe try to boost those numbers up. Maybe I'll tune in for MJF. Perhaps this idea will work and they'll get those numbers up for MJF being on Collision. It's still crazy to me that he's not on Dynamite. Like, wouldn't you put him on your A show? It's like trying to get Steve Austin to appear on Heat to build up Heat's numbers and not have him appear on Raw. And I don't recall them doing that. I think Steve Austin was always on Raw and they were like, well, Heat's going to be what it's going to be. But yeah, MJF will be on Collision. They're going to try to make Collision special again by getting MJF on the show, I suppose. We'll see if it helps out. Backstage, we had the Young Bucks, the relatively young Bucks. I mean, at what point do they become the middle-aged Bucks? Because they've been the Young Bucks now for quite a while. They were backstage in catering, and they met up with the Dark Order. They still exist. But the Dark Order denied them a seat at the cafeteria. So then the Bucks went to sit with Brandon Cutler, their old lackey. And he didn't want anything to do with them. He told them to shut up. Remember, that was the thing that they would tell him to shut up. And then Jon Moxley came in. A bunch of guys just ran away because Moxley's that scary. And Moxley gave the Bucks a little pep talk for the main event, which was a $100,000 or $500,000 or some amount of money, some fictional amount of money main event. The old indie tag match with the money, the big purse for the winner. Jeremy sent in a super chat. Jeremy, I will get to your super chat at the end when I talk about that, so stay tuned. We had not one but two women's matches on this show. Tony Khan, are you okay? We actually got two women's matches on the show. Interesting. We had Mercedes Moné, the TBS champion, and Emi Sakura versus Riho and Alex Windsor. They brought up how Emi had trained Riho. Not sure what she taught her, because in this match, it was a little rough. The match was okay, but then at the end, just wasn't that good. Riho put Emi in a submission, and while she was doing this, Alex Windsor had Mercedes in the ropes with a submission, and Mercedes was tapping out again. Why they have Mercedes tapping out to Alex Windsor when Riho's challenging for the title, I'm not sure, but Riho tapped out Emi. I mean, yeah, everybody saw this coming with the four of them in this match. Emi was obviously taken the fall in this one. So no surprise there. It was kind of filler. Wasn't too good in my opinion. One of the weaker matches on Dynamite in a while. So make that what you will. And then after the match, we had a post-match attack. Actually, never mind. We did not. Psych. I kid. We had Ricochet backstage hyping up his match with Shelton Benjamin. And he said that he wanted to do it alone without the Gates of Agony, no Hurt Syndicate, just one-on-one in the ring. Shelton Benjamin did agree to this. So we had one-on-one, no Hurt Syndicate, no Gates of Agony. We'll get to that in just a moment. But first, we had a video package hyping up Cope and Christian against FTR. Renee Paquette narrated it, but then Stokely and FTR came out there and said that it was a bullshit video package. And Dax Harwood said it should have been a dream match. And he was pissed off at the fans. He wanted to fight some fans. He was going out there trying to pick a fight with fans. And in the end, FTR just beat up a couple of production people. Very random segment here, in my opinion. I'm not sure what it accomplished. Makes FTR seem unlikable. I don't know. Just seemed like a little bit of a waste of time. Didn't really hype me up for the tag match at all. Just felt like, okay, we need FTR in a segment. We'll have them beat up a couple people. And that was that. Very odd segment. I agree with Matthew. It was awkward. Next up, we had Shelton Benjamin versus Ricochet, which was a pretty good match. We got the fans chanting, "Everyone's bald," and then they were chanting, "We bald people." They were entertaining in this. And Ricochet had the early momentum. He did a springboard 450, but Shelton kicked out. And Shelton got all pissed off, and he tossed Ricochet around a little bit. Then they fought on the outside, and Ricochet regained the upper hand. And then after the break, Ricochet went for a springboard move, but Benjamin caught him and took him to Suplex City. But then Ricochet stayed in the fight. He delivered a Spanish fly off the top. Benjamin kicked out of that. And then Ricochet tried to use his scissors, but Benjamin took the scissors away. However, he snapped the scissors, threw them away, and the crowd was not happy with this. They wanted the ECW violent moment. Then the GOA showed up, despite Ricochet saying nobody was going to interfere. GOA did interfere, and Ricochet won with the fruit roll-up. Got the 1-2-3 victory. I figured Ricochet would win since I expect Ricochet's team to lose, but we'll talk more about that next week when we do our predictions. Hurt Syndicate ran out there, and we had a pull-apart brawl. We had the security out there. Let them fight, blah, blah, blah. Just your usual random-ass pull-apart brawl, although we're getting them on a weekly basis now, so is it really random at this point? Just feels like they're mandatory on every show. Every show must have a pull-apart brawl at some point. We had a video of Hook at some high-rise. He was sitting by a fireplace, and he basically said he appreciates the ops for having his back, but now maybe it's time for him to stand on his own, or maybe not. And that was it. So we don't know if he's with them or against them, or if he's a single star. I don't know, but he probably shouldn't be talking that much. We had Kyle Fletcher and Don Callis backstage, and Fletcher said he was going to go at it alone. He told Don Callis to trust him. We'll see how that goes at All Out. Then we had Toni Storm versus Skye Blue in a Philadelphia street fight. Toni Storm came out there, paid tribute to the Sandman. She had a kendo stick that was signed by him. She smashed her head with a beer can, just like the Sandman. And she attacked Skye Blue when Skye Blue was coming to the ring. And they brawled around the ringside area. And Toni used the kendo stick. And then Skye Blue got a staple gun and stapled Toni's parts, her boobs, her crotch, her butt, with the staple gun. So that was one of the segments in AEW history. And then Toni Storm had a table with mouse traps on it, and she had cheese. She was eating the cheese. Excalibur even took a bite of the cheese, and then Toni ended up getting powerbombed onto the traps. Didn't really look as brutal as you might think. And the table didn't break either. Daniel Bryan, though, on commentary had to make it clear that the table actually hurts more when it doesn't break. So Bryan Danielson getting his paycheck here by trying to make it seem like it was more impactful than it was. Then Toni had an electric fly swatter that she used as a weapon. I have to say, those are quite fun, zapping bugs in the summertime in Michigan, I have to say. Then Toni took a sign and used the sign to give Skye Blue a hip attack and then finished her off with the Storm Zero onto a steel chair. It was entertaining. It was entertaining for what it was, little hardcore match in ECW territory. It was fun for what it was. Then we had a post-match attack from Tekla, not Tesla, but Tekla, and Julia Hart, not related to the Hart family. Then Chris Statlander and Jamie Hayter ran out there to make the save, but miscommunication. Hayter accidentally struck Statlander, and the Bad Girls got the upper hand. Tekla speared Toni Storm and stood tall with the AEW Women's title. Toni's got, I think, a 4-way match at All Out. And we'll talk about the predictions for that next week when we do the predictions video. Stay tuned for that. We then had Willow Nightingale cutting a backstage promo, and she was interrupted by Harley Cameron. Harley was singing a song on the guitar. She's pretty entertaining. I mean, she definitely has some potential. She's one of the standouts, at least personality-wise, in AEW. Matthew says, give her all the titles. We then had our main event of the evening, the 500,000. Was it 500,000 or 100,000? I'm not even sure at this point. A lot of money, fictional money. They had a bag with the money in it, though. We had the Young Bucks teaming up with the Death Riders against the Ops and Brodito, the tag team champions. Now, the Bucks came out with the original Dynamite theme song, and they were brought to the ring with their government names, and they had their DMV photos on the big screen. Matthew says it was a $500K 10-man all-star match, another indie match. This is the type of stuff that independent promotions do. They have their $100,000 all-star challenge or something like that. PWG used to do matches like this, and it's a very indie gimmick to do these types of matches. So anyways, it was a good main event. With these guys, it's pretty much impossible for them to have a bad match. Things broke down pretty early on, and the Bucks didn't want to fight the big guys, Hobbs and Brody King, but they got beat up anyways. Then Claudio was triple teamed. Then Bandito did some cool stuff. And then after the commercial break, we got the meat fest from Hobbs. Then Marina Shafir interfered. She got in the ring, and Wheeler Yuta used a chair on Hobbs. He should know. He should have read the book of Hobbs, because Hobbs doesn't sell chair shots. And Hobbs, he went after Yuta. Then we got things breaking down again, everybody doing their big moves. The Bucks were in there with Brodito, and Matt was able to pin Bandito while Nick was holding Matt's feet on the rope. And the bad guys got the win by cheating. They cashed in. They collected their bag of money. So now they'll be using DoorDash and eating fancy steaks again instead of catering. And Brodito fought with them to the back. I guess we'll be getting a tag team title match at some point. Then Darby Allin ran to the ring, and he went after Jon Moxley. But then a mystery man attacked Darby, took off his hood. We always get this. We saw it with Becky Lynch, and now we see it here. Mystery person takes off their hood, and it was Daniel Garcia, that son of a bitch. Why, Danny boy? Why did you do it? He lost to Jon Moxley. I guess if you can't beat him, join them, which means that Danny boy is now officially part of the Death Riders. This means the Death Riders must continue. In the Howard Finkel voice, they must continue. I mean, Daniel Garcia needs to turn heel. I mean, he's got negative charisma. So did Wheeler Yuta. And I think it probably kept Wheeler Yuta at least somewhat relevant. So it helps Garcia. But at the same time, I really don't want the Death Riders to continue. I'm over it. Now, Jeremy sent in a $3.20 super chat, so thank you for that. Says, where does Pac fit in after the Garcia heel turn? I think he's got to be a babyface, right? Pac doesn't have a spot in the Death Riders anymore. 100%, I think he needs to come back as a babyface. Pac is better as a babyface anyways. He's very flashy. He does a lot of cool stuff. He doesn't need to be a heel. So yes, I think 100% Pac will come back as a babyface, and he'll feel like he was replaced in the Death Riders, which he basically has. So yeah, I could see him coming back as a good guy, feuding with the Death Riders, but I'm just ready for the Death Riders to be over. And that was Dynamite. We got one more Dynamite before the pay-per-view, and we also have Collision. Show was fine. It was 5 out of 10. It was all right. Nothing great in my opinion, but also nothing terrible. Although the women's tag match was kind of lackluster, but main event was good. I did enjoy the Philadelphia street fight. The Paige match was good, predictable, but good. It was solid. Solid Dynamite. I thought it was fine. Moderate interest in All Out. I mean, I think WWE's got a more compelling show at this point by quite a bit of a margin, even though AEW has the reputation for putting on great shows. I think on paper it's a solid card, but I don't think it's their strongest lineup. You got Moxley and Darby in a coffin match, which will be good. I mean, the matches should deliver. I expect them to, but yeah, right now I would say WrestlePalooza has a stronger lineup. But luckily for me, I will only have to worry about like 1 hour where there'll be both shows on at the same time. Although if Tony Khan's really feeling it, they might go for 2. We'll see what they do. Anyways, guys, thank you all for watching. Tony's going to get my money. He's going to get my $40 with the HBO Go app. So I'll be covering that and WrestlePalooza. Check those shows out and make sure you watch the live recaps on the No DQ channel. We got predictions coming up soon. Sunday night, 8 p.m. Eastern will be the WrestlePalooza predictions. And then Thursday night, next week, not this Thursday, but the Thursday before All Out, we'll be doing the All Out predictions. Tune in for those. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Spread the word about the NoDQ.com YouTube channel. And enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. I will be back Friday with SmackDown Thoughts. Tune in for that. Say yes to NoDQ.com, and I will see you all next time.